All right, all the basting stitches are taken out by the carrier. I didn't worry about this extra fabric where there's no carrier there. So now I need to take off my zippers because we're ready to trim this. And it's gonna be a lot easier to trim from this cream colored side, from this backing side, just so you can see where that carrier is again. The first one that I didn't quite leave enough where I trimmed like really close to where I stitched. And then as I was flipping it, a couple of those seams popped open. So we're gonna trim a little bit farther away than I did that first time. So let me get the rest of these pins out. If you don't like pinning when you are attaching something to the frame, if you are using our quick zip system, you can use Vanish thread. It's from Superior. We have it on our website. It is, and that's quiltingconnection.com. It's a water soluble thread. So if you don't like doing this pinning or you don't want to stab yourself when you want to put something on a frame, you can take that Vanish thread and you can sew the edge of the fabric to the edge of the zipper. Then when you're all done, all you have to do is spritz it and get it wet, and then that thread totally dissolves, so there's no pins or basting or anything to take out. Whenever I take a zipper off the frame, this is for my backing fabric, I always zip it back together so that I know when I want to do another backing fabric, I can just grab one of those full zippers. So here is the back side of our casserole dish. I don't know where my 45-inch rotary cutter is, so I'm using a 60-inch today, so if that does look weird, that's why. It's here somewhere, but I can't find it. So I'm just gonna work on trimming this. This outer stitch line here is again the one that we just did. So I'm gonna leave myself about 1/4 of an inch away from that so then those seams don't pull apart. I love this ruler because it's got a solid 1/4 inch line. So I'm just gonna line that up with where I had sewn. I'm gonna do all my verticals at the same time. I'm just gonna eyeball 1/4 of an inch over here. Then I'm gonna work this way, line that up on where we stitched, so I've got 1/4 of an inch from here. And then I have my nice sharp is the word I was trying to do. My nice sharp scissors. These are Kai scissors. I love these. And then I'm just gonna trim this by hand, again, leaving 1/4 of an inch away from that stitching line that we did. Then I learned on the last one, these corners here, it's nice just to clip those down. So I'm just gonna use my scissors and clip that corner. Same thing, still leaving about 1/4 of an inch away. All right, then let's do this vertical. Line that up, so I'm 1/4 of an inch away. Let's do this vertical. Then I can come in and go this way. Good, make sure I get all the way in there. Then let's grab this one. You can turn it, of course, if that makes it easier for you. Let me get this corner a little better. Get that all out of my way. And then let's do these. I'm sure you all know how to trim, so that's why I'm not zooming in any closer. I'm just leaving, like I said, about 1/4 of an inch. Oh, I sliced right through that one. Good job, Ange. Sliced right through here, too deep. So on my sewing machine, I will need to fix that corner there. Let's trim off that extra. Then I've got one more here. Okay, oops. Corner a little better. Then all of this going in the garbage. Take my scissors here and trim these little corners here. Okay, then I just need to trim out this U shape here too. So I'm gonna leave myself again, I'm just eyeballing about 1/4 of an inch away. Okay, I think that is all trimmed. I don't see any more basting stitches in the middle here. And then this is where my opening is. Get those guys off of there. So then I can hold here and I can start to push this through our opening. I might not have left enough. I can barely fit my hand in there. This is always the fun part, right? Pushing it through the opening here. Get that shoved in there. I'm kind of holding where my stitch line is so I don't pull that apart or break those stitches, but I did some good back checks, so it should hold pretty good. Pull this out. But this is great because then you don't have to do any binding. I was really worried when I first saw this, how am I gonna bind that curve? Because let's face it, I'm not the greatest at binding. So I was a little worried. I was like, oh, how is that gonna work? So I'm just kind of pinching this up, pushing that through. Once we get majority of it, then it'll make it easier. Fold those in. We're gonna get it. Pull this out. Kind of reach in there, pull through here. It's coming. So I was really thankful that this was a no binding method, and it was actually my mom's idea to use that flip zipper and sew the lining on the long arm and not have to take it to my domestic machine. So thank you to my mom for that. I am making these for Christmas presents. So I'm sorry to my friends and family that are going to see this posted before they actually get them, but now you can see all the work that went into making your Christmas present. Almost there. Let's pull this out. Get that through. It's coming. All right, doesn't that look cute? Should we just leave it like this? No, so I'm gonna sneak my hand in here and I'm just gonna push my finger into these corners here. Let's find our top edges. Push this out. Here's where I snipped through that corner. See my thumb poking through? So I'm gonna have to fix that on my domestic. So just again, be careful when you're trimming. So here's my top corner, push that out, follow to the curve, push that out, push this curve up. I'm also going to hit this with my Laurastar iron to make sure that it is all secured to. Let's see, let's get this side pushed up. Here's a corner. Here's my curve. Get those pushed nice and tight. And then we've got one more piece in here to pull out. Okay, good. Think that looks pretty good. It did recommend on this curve, if you're finding that you don't like how tight this is, to put those little slits cut along those curves, but I think that looks pretty good. So then I just need to fix this one little corner here. I've got my opening right here, so I'll iron that in, fold that in, iron that in, and seal it up. Then I'm gonna hit this with my Laurastar to make this nice and tight. Then we need to stitch the perimeter about 1/8 of an inch in to secure all of this. Make sure all your corners are pushed where you want them to be. I did go in the kitchen and grab just a little spoon here so then I could get in a little easier to some of these corners and push those corners up too, or chopstick, whatever you've got. So let's hit this with the Laurastar. Let's do our stitching, and then we have one more step to put those spots for the wooden spoons. Laurastar is hot. Let's hit these corners and hit this lining and make it nice and tight. Remember, anytime you first use your Laurastar, it's a good idea to clear that cord. So you're gonna push to hold, get steam, so you're getting consistent steam flowing. When you want steam, you can push with your finger or your thumb. So I am using the Laurastar. This is, why am I blanking? The 1980, the full top of the line system. This is my favorite one to use. It does have a fan built into the board. I want that fan pulling down, so I'm gonna touch on the front here to change the direction of the fan. That's gonna pull all that steam away from me. So I'm just gonna hit the edges here, get that iron down, make sure these are nice and tight and rolled where I want them to be. I am pulsing and I don't want to pulse. There we go. Make sure this edge is tight and rolled where I want. There we go. Then this is my opening. So I'm going to roll the white under and I'm going to hit just the white. So I'm rolling this towards me, getting the nose of my iron in there and hitting just that bottom white part to hold that in place. Then I'm going to line up the gray, the lining on top of that, and hit both of those at the same time. Clips would be a good idea. This is that corner that I messed up, so let me push that white and that gray into that corner too. Hit that nice and solid. Just make sure this is where I want it to be. And just running around that perimeter, making sure it's all nice and flat. Make it easier for me when we go to our sewing machine. Make sure that is where I want it to be. That looks great. Good, looking good, guys. What do you think of this project so far? Let me know in the comments your thoughts. Let's flip it over, look at our white side. Oh, I still have some basting stitches through here. I can rip those out. Because I couldn't, when I had the lining on, I couldn't see these basting stitches, but those will come out no problem. Okay, this is looking great. I'm gonna take my scissors, cut out these extra little basting stitches that are in here. Then we're gonna take it to the sewing machine and sew around the perimeter.